I will say, though, the media is propping up, they're propping these cases up a lot. And when you have CNN and these others saying, well, what's next for Donald Trump? Can he vote? If that's what you're talking about, rather than the fact that we just convicted a former president of a crime that no one's really sure what the crime was that he supposedly committed and was covering up, that's not the story, right? The story isn't can he vote? The story is what's happening in our nation. So I think the media is doing their job as far as the left is concerned, right? Is they're muddying the waters and they're making it confusing for the American people.
Yeah, they had a roll call of states going. They had Colorado, then they had Maine. And I remember watching, MSNBC, which I only watch for research purposes by accident, and them talking about, and where does it go from here? Where's the domino effect go? What other states go? And I'm sitting there looking at this going, first of all, that's a 5-4 state decision that was so weak in Colorado that if that last justice with the Colorado Supremes hadn't swayed on that horsehair of a judgment, and he even said, he almost went the other way. If that guy had just gone the other way and said, there's really nothing here, it would have been the Colorado Supremes of 5-4. He's on the ballot. Go away. Take this weak-ass case off my docket. Instead, he goes, and now it's 5-4. No one looked at how weak that case was. I had that thing overturned at 5-4 in the Supremes, soon as I saw it. And guess what? We got it. It went unanimous.
Yeah.
It went actually with the last two just kind of consenting. It was 7-0 and the last two consented. But you look at that and the media doesn't understand this because they in their mind have politicized the judicial system. What do you think needs to change? Because under the Constitution, we all get due process. But now process can take forever.
Right.
Where does that need to change?
Well, I think holding people accountable is the first order of
Which
business.
people?
Across the board, whether it's rogue prosecutors that have abused their authority, whether it's state legislators or judges that have failed to hold them accountable. We have checks and balances in this country, but we're so out of balance that they're not being checked. And so I think we need to put people in all areas of government. We need to have people in the legislature that are willing to take a look at some of these judges and say, do we need to impeach some judges, or what's the process for this? And I'm not saying every judge or any judge in particular needs to be impeached. I'm saying we need to use the process because we just haven't been using what's already in place to make it come about.
Yeah. Well, it's like reckless prosecution, and you end up with something like we have, which is commonly known, I didn't invent this phrase, but the Ninth Circus, which is, and I know you're laughing because you know who I'm speaking about, and they're called that because they have the honor of being the most overturned, appellate circuit appellate court in the United States. And no one's looking at that and saying, why don't we kind of get in there and fix these guys? Yeah.
No, I think we need to take a closer look at all of it. And certainly it's not it's not Donald Trump coming in and making changes, right? Because that does take on, dictator type status. And we can't do that. We all have to be involved in this process. It has to be a legislative function. It's got to be a judicial function. It's got to be a function of the voters. Everybody needs to get involved in the process and play their part. And that's kind of what I was referring to when we were talking about actual elections. Is a democracy, a constitutional republic, but in democracy, it works best the more people are involved, because the more people are involved, it decentralizes everything and kind of spreads it all out. So whatever role you feel called to play it, get involved, because we keep this nation afloat and we save this nation by having as many people involved in the process as possible, whether you're, challenging a judge saying, or, there've been recall efforts on certain politicians. Thank God, if you don't like your local official, recall them, use the process that's in place. The problem isn't necessarily that the process is broken. The problem is we haven't been using it.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.